Thank you so much for this opportunity. Mr. Kirby, as you know, Afghan refugee in Pakistan, there's a lot of problem. Pakistan pushed them and police, make a bad deal with them to force them to leave Pakistan, although they don't have any opportunity in Afghanistan. Any comment, there is any possibility to United States bring them to Pakistan, some pressure to give them more chance?
We let Pakistan speak to their policies with respect to refugees and asylum seekers. Obviously, we want to see all nations do what they can to help refugees and asylum seekers, and that certainly includes our Pakistani friends with respect to Afghans who are trying to flee.
Thanks a lot, Kareem. John, over the past 3 weeks, you've expressed from the podium your opposition to a ceasefire. Now you're advocating for a humanitarian pause. That's the way you described it. What's the difference between the two, and is it a two-way street? Is a humanitarian pause one in which there would be essentially no fighting from the Hamas side at the same time that there's no fighting from the Israeli side?
So a couple of things here. First, you said now we're advocating. This is something we've been talking about now for several days. In fact, Secretary Blinken brought it up at the UN, believe late last week. I mean, this is not some new idea that we're just introducing into the intellectual pool here today. And I'll repeat it again. When we talk about a general ceasefire, we're talking about a stoppage of fighting all across the front, if you will, all across the battle space, where neither side, everybody lays down their arms, and it's a general ceasefire. Usually, when you're talking about a general ceasefire, it is about trying to find a cessation to the hostilities, to try to get to a truce, right, or to some sort of end of the war. That's what we mean by a general ceasefire. And we aren't advocating for a general ceasefire at this point. As I said earlier, we believe that a general ceasefire would benefit Hamas in providing them breathing space and time to continue to plot and execute attacks on the Israeli people. A humanitarian pause, when we talk about that, it is temporary, localized, and focused on a particular objective or objectives. Humanitarian aid in, people out. And in a pause, again, each one would have to be negotiated separately and distinctly, but the general idea is that in that geographic space, for that limited time, there would be a cessation of hostilities enough to allow whatever it is you're trying to allow. Does that make sense? Does that lay it out?
It does. You've spent most of your professional life in the military. I don't know the answer to this question. Was there a time in the U.S. fight against al-Qaeda in which the U.S. implemented humanitarian pauses?
I'm not aware of any, but I would remind you that al-Qaeda, wasn't in possession of 200 hostages in Iraq or Afghanistan, and it's a different situation. But that's what we're talking about here.